All right, as promised, we're joined right now by an ESPN senior writer. He is a New York Times best-selling author. His books include the Epic Athlete series. He is a contributor to the College Game Day podcast. He is Dan Wetzel. Dan, always good to have you on the program. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good, Jim. How are you?
Good to see you. Listen, I just want to say right off the very top, your latest column for ESPN.com is extremely powerful and equally disturbing. I just want to say that off the very top. So having said that, let me start right here. Who is Jordan DeMay, and what can you tell us about his background?
Well, Jordan DeMay was a 17-year-old kid from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Marquette, Michigan. He was great athlete, great local athlete, football, basketball, played baseball for a lot of years. Super popular. Homecoming king, voted homecoming king, had tons of friends, really funny guy, down to earth, worked at McDonald's, sort of I guess stepmom called him the all-American a kid. And he was about to graduate from high school and go to northern Michigan with his girlfriend and some other friends, and life was rolling pretty good for him.
Talking to Dan Wetzel. So Dan, he receives a message on social media in March of 2022. What did that message say?
Said, "Hey." That's it. Hey. It was from a profile of a picture. Profile pic was of a young woman. She later said she was from Atlanta. I was a college student, 19, and she said, "Hey." About an hour later, he was packing for spring break the next morning, or the next day. They were going to leave for spring break down in Florida, which is much needed when you live in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And he started kind of chatting with her while doing laundry and packing. Really kind of a casual conversation for a couple hours, and sort of built up trust. Although he kept saying, I don't know if you're real. You might be fake. There was sent some joke memes back to her at different times. Didn't seem like he was taking the whole thing really seriously. But about midnight that night, he's down in the they had like a split level house, and he had his bedrooms down the basement of the house, and his stepmom, his dad, stepmom, and two stepsisters were upstairs. The account Danny Roberts said, tried to wanted to play a game, she called it. Let's send some more mature photos to each other, all of that. And he resisted for a while until he finally decided to send one.
We're talking to Dan Wetzel. So he sends this mature photo to this person on the other side who he thinks is Danny. Who was he actually talking to?
He was talking to a guy in Lagos, Nigeria, named Samuel Ogashi, who was in a room at the time with they had a small crime ring. Samuel Ogashi, his brother Samson Ogashi, and another guy named Ezekiel Roberts. So it was three guys in Nigeria. This was what they did for money. This was their crime ring, and they switched up. Ezekiel Robert took over at this point and started saying, "Look, we've got this photo. Um, Give us money, or we're going to release it." They researched all of his. Not just his friends' accounts, social media accounts, emails, whatever he could find, whatever they could find, but teachers, parents, relatives, your aunt, your mom's friends from her Facebook, all these different things. And they started putting a tremendous amount of pressure on this kid to say, "Give us $1,000 or we're going to release these photos. We're going to make your life miserable. You're done. We own you. We're going to make this go viral." All of that.
We're talking to Dan Wetzel. Obviously, Dan, this is fully orchestrated. This is not random. They knew who they were talking to, and the crime has been dubbed financial sextortion. What made him such a perfect target for such a crime? Why him?
Yeah, so it's financial sextortion. So I think everyone's heard of this kind of stuff, and you could call it sextortion if you want. And a lot of times it was like an ex-boyfriend to a girl, or somebody trying to gain revenge, and someone they didn't like in high school or something like that. About 2021, 2022, the FBI and the National Center for Exploited Children, Missing and Exploited Children, began to see this become more about um, overseas crime rings, not no longer necessarily going over after just the elderly to try to get them to give up money, which is a prime target, or the old Nigerian prince email kind of thing that I think everyone saw. But they started zeroing in on high school boys, teen boys, and they found them to be particularly vulnerable for that. And a subset of that is the popular high school athlete. And the FBI says they have a little bit more to lose. They have a bigger social media profile. A lot of them are under extreme pressure to project a very perfect image online to try to get recruited by colleges. Jordan wanted to play college football, like Division II or III college football. He was injured. Injuries really took that away, but he was a very good athlete at one point. And they're particularly susceptible to this crime, is what they found. So these groups in Nigeria and the Ivory Coast, mainly according to the FBI, have begun targeting in on these kids. And so that's what made him a perfect choice for this, and what led to him maybe going along with the ploy and then feeling a tremendous panic. And what they do is they have scripts, they have proven tactics, they hone their skills. They are working. They're like fishermen. They're casting a lot of lines in the water, 40, 50 a night, and seeing who bites, and dealing with lots of different chats, trying to get whoever they can to go with this. And they have refined what to say, when to say it, how much pressure to put on, when to back off, when to do this or that. They're getting better and better at it. And so this crime is much more sophisticated than maybe what at least before I started working on this, I would have thought it was, even 2, 3, 5 years ago.
Dan Wetzel joining us. So they say to him, give us $1,000. Give us $1,000 right now, or we're going to wreck your life. What does he say to that? And then what happens?
So he sent them 300. He had $355. He worked at McDonald's. He had some savings or whatever, but that was it. And so he sent them 300, and they said, no, give us 800 now. The thing they'll tell you, the FBI will tell you, is there is no amount that will appease these guys. You're an ATM machine at this point, and that's all they view it as. And so they will continue to put pressure on you as long as if you give any, they'll actually start putting more pressure on you because they know you have some means. So they just kept saying, give us more, give us more. We're going to send your picture out. They sent his picture to his girlfriend's account. She was asleep. She didn't see it. They said they were counting down. They were basically saying, we're going to ruin your life. Jordan was begging for his life. You can read the full transcript. It's tragic. It's a hard read, but in the story on ESPN. But he's saying, guys, I'm gonna kill myself right now. You've ruined my life. I don't have any out. They said, go ahead, do it. They were pressuring him to go ahead and do that. And at about 3:45 in the morning, there was a firearm in the house. He got it. He was someone who, again, had full. His parents, his father, never would have thought there'd be any trouble with this kid. He was the happiest kid they had ever seen. There was no signs of depression, no signs of anything. He took his own life about 3:45 in the morning.
Talking to Dan Wetzel, and I've read the column, so this is really disturbing even to hear. I could tell even you, as a veteran journo, you're having trouble even sharing this. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is so horrific. Dan, how long did that take from the time that he got that first message to the time that he took his life? How much time transpired actually?
Yeah, I've done a lot of tough stories, and this is one of the toughest. I mean, it's whether it's Larry Nassar or murder cases or whatever. This is an awful situation, and I'm glad you're putting this on so people hear about it and try to protect their kids or themselves. The whole thing took about 5 hours, and that is what the National Center for Exploited and Missing Children talk about. The worst part of this is that there's no warning. I think if you have teenagers, you have anyone in your life, you keep an eye on them. You say, oh, this person's having some issues at school. They're having some depression. There's something not right. This crime takes and attacks, often targets the kids that are the happiest and have almost a dream high school life, if you will. And you have, there's been nearly 40 suicides that we know of in the last 3 years. and every one of them was within 24 hours of the first contact. There was a young man down in Ohio, 27 minutes after he was first contacted, the whole scam went down, took his own life. So you can have the happiest 15, 16-year-old in the world goes up to his room, you're making dinner, and he doesn't come down. And that's probably the most terrifying thing for parents and for everybody. This is not just people messing around on the internet. This is organized, ruthless, vicious criminals who are understand and have perfected exactly what to write to take a kid who has everything in front of him and somehow make him feel there is no out other than the worst choice they can make. And so we'd like to say how you wouldn't fall for this, or man, it wouldn't always work. It works, and it's working increasingly.
It's working, right? You want to say that why would somebody take their own life? But they do, they have, they will. It's pretty prevalent. So you mentioned those that are perpetrating this. The FBI gets involved in this. How were they able to track down the perpetrators, and then what happened to them?
So what happened was if there was a mistake made by the Nigerians, it was they sent the picture to the girlfriend Kyla, who later discovered this direct message the next day after Jordan had died, and she's going through her phone, and she's heartbroken and sees this thing, and that led to the belief that okay, this there's a criminal element here, because she contacts back and says, what is this? And these guys start immediately trying to extort her. So give us money or we'll put your boyfriend's picture out. We're going to humiliate him even more. And she's telling him he shot himself. He's gone. And they are going on. They don't see any remorse, any reason to back off. They just see another potential way to get a couple $100. I mean, all of this was over $300. That's it. That's all the money got exchanged. So they're going after her. She ends up going, gives it over to a guy named Lowell Larson, who's the undersheriff now in Marquette County. And because there is a potential criminal element here, he's able to subpoena or do a court order to get the transcripts from Meta, which owns Instagram, where these messages are coming through. And if there wasn't that, you wouldn't know. The young man I talked about earlier from Ohio, 27 minutes, his phone was pass locked. His parents could not access it. They had no idea why this happened for 10 months until they finally were able to crack into this. There is belief by the FBI and the missing and exploited children people that we have absolutely no idea how many young men have taken their own life because of this scam, because there's no way to know. Jordan himself had deleted the Instagram profile. So even if they had gotten access to his phone, which they couldn't for a while, they would have had no idea why this happened. And
Okay.
so it would go just another mystery suicide. So we see seen a huge spike in young men, uh, the suicide rates of young men. We don't know how much of that spike is because of this. There is just unknown cases out there. This is a serious, serious epidemic going on. Again, we're losing a young man at least once a month, maybe more, and it's just all because of small petty crimes. The Nigerians later, the FBI obviously gets involved, and through a long process, we're able to extradite two of the three men. They're still trying to get the third. But they said, look, in Nigeria, they see this as, oh, this is a rich American. You're just getting a few $100 from them. It's no big deal. They don't see them as victims. They don't they don't treat them like humans. They just see it as a way to get some money, and they will push as hard as they can to do this.
To your point, if they don't send that picture to her, and exactly, they were just trying to get another few $100 from her, we just assumed that this was some kid that we thought was happy, that apparently was not, that was dealing with something, who just took his own life. And we would have never known that that's what that was. So the two that they were able to extradite, what kind of prison sentences are they looking at? Because clearly they're tried here. And Nigerian authorities, were they cooperative?
They are cooperative. We have an extradition, I guess the right word, how to say it, treaty with Nigeria. We do not have one with the Ivory Coast, which is another place where this is very, very prevalent. But it took a while. They have rights. in Nigeria. So they have to be convicted of the crime, and then you have to go through a long process. Like I said, the third man, Ezekiel Robert, is still in Nigeria. He's in a Nigerian prison, but obviously it's important to bring him to the United States for not just the justice for the victims here, but as a message to everyone overseas that this crime will be taken extraordinarily seriously by the United States, and that means imprisonment here. The two Ogoshi brothers were sentenced to 17 and a half years. They're in a federal facility in Illinois right now. They were brought over about a year after the initial crime. You know, you couldn't. You got to make deals when you're bringing people in from another country. So murder was off the table, those types of things. So they pled guilty to a form of child. I'm not. I can't remember the exact wording, but could have gotten 30 years. They got 17 and a half.
So Dan, finally, Jordan's parents obviously extremely courageous to talk to you about this and to get that message out there. What is their message, and what can parents do to try to help their teenage children? Or even to your point at the start of the conversation, if somebody listening or watching this, what can they do to protect themselves?
Yeah, John and Jessica DeMay and Jen Buddha, his mother, Jordan's mother, who's extraordinarily close with, are really heroic. And there's a lot of the other parents also. I chose this story over some of the others that have just as tragically lost their life. I mean, it's every one of these things is heart wrenching, just because we had the adjudication, if you will. There's more facts that are publicly available because the Goshi brothers are in prison. But there's a couple things. I mean, one, you know, awareness is the only way to stop this, and getting young people to understand, do not trust this thing. A 19-year-old college girl in Atlanta is probably not trying to find some high school kid somewhere. Don't send photos, all of those things. But it's also, if you make that mistake, it's not the end of the world. We have to destigmatize what this is about. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, maybe it's embarrassing. It shouldn't be. These are professional criminals. You're getting conned by professional con men in a very, very elaborate scheme. And so if we could get that out of the way where people don't feel so horrible about it, then maybe that would help. But if you're a young person and you have made the error of sending a picture and they're looking for money and they're saying, give me $1,000, the first thing you should do is immediately flag the account to the provider and then close the computer. Just close the computer and walk away. They have 50 fishing lines in the water. And if they're getting a nibble, they're going to pay attention to that. If they think the fish got off the hook, they're going to stop paying attention. They're unlikely to actually release the photo. They did in this case, but they're unlikely to do it because that will open them up to actually getting caught. The more trails that is to them, the more trails to their IP address, which is how the FBI was able to come in on them, and the sheriff in Marquette County was able to identify them. So it's the best thing to do is just close the computer, go tell somebody. It's not the end of the world. Exhale, and there probably nothing will come of it. And other than that, you can call the National Center of Exploited Missing Children, who have a system through the take it down law to be able to get that photo taken, scrubbed from the internet. There's a lot of things that people can do. And look, I'm just a reporter here. I talk to a lot of people on this, but go to the FBI, FBI.gov, go to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have much better resources and specific advice that's going to be better than what I'm summarizing here. But there are ways out of this. This is not the end of the world. It just feels that way in the moment because that's what they're trying to do to you.
Because they are professional criminals. I mentioned at the very top that this was a very difficult conversation, but a critical one at that. Dan Wetzel, my guest. Dan, I really appreciate that. Not an easy conversation, I know, for you to have or for anybody to hear, but one that we all needed to hear. Thank you very much for making time for that, Dan.
Well, thanks for spreading it, because the more people that hear about it, the better. And if one more kid is able to deal with this, then that's all worth it. So I'll talk about it forever. So won't these heroic parents. If John DeMay and Jen Buddha can talk about it, it's easy for me. So it's a terrible, terrible thing that's happening right now in this country, and no one's really talking about it. So thank you, Jim.
No, thank you. The second I saw that column, I immediately circulated that to my family and people close to me. Dan Wetzel joining us. So you just got, normally we would never do something that long, but that was that critical and that important. So that's why we went long for him. Dan, thanks so much. If you want to react to that, go right ahead. I'm going to take a short time out right now. If you want to read the column, Dan covered it pretty much exhaustively in that, but that's up on ESPN.com. It's a really, really difficult read, but I thought there was really powerful information in that. And to think that this kid had everything going for him and was so happy, and 5 hours later, he took his own life. Also, point being that these parents can have their kids go to bed and then they don't wake up and they have no idea why. Like, where is he? What happened? He just happened to open up his computer or his phone and somebody hooked him with that. Just tragic. Horrible. I will take a short time out. We will come right back. You're in the jungle. I am Jim Rome. Don't go anywhere.